you are listening to this program, the chances are that your life is in some way or other shaped by pain and the suffering, both physical and emotional, that usually comes along with it. If so, here are two things you might want to strongly keep in mind from the very beginning of our work together. One, you are not alone. And two, learning to live with pain that will not easily abate or go away is possible. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people have discovered that living with pain is a process, a minuet of sorts, maybe not to the tune you would have chosen if you were entirely in charge of how things unfolded in your life, but nevertheless workable in some wonderful and very freeing ways, especially if you are willing to do a certain amount of work yourself. And good news, there's no one right way to do this work. There's no cookbook recipe, no one-size-fits-all. Everybody is unique, and everybody ultimately finds their own way to live and live well in the face of the difficult, the challenging, and the unwanted that arises for all of us sooner or later in this life. So your unique experience, including the particular difficulties you face and have to work with, become part of the work of mindfulness itself, rather than being obstacles to being mindful and the pain relief that mindfulness can lead to. With this attitude, there is no way to fail, really, because we're not trying to force anything to be other than it is. Only hold it in awareness. Out of that, the pain and our relationship to it can change profoundly. There is convincing evidence from pain studies that the greater the intensity of the distressing sensations, the more awareness strategies are beneficial and the less distraction strategies are effective in bringing relief. Tuning in trumps tuning out. World-class endurance athletes, for instance, know this intimately and tend to monitor their body's sensory experience moment by moment by moment during training and competition. Our clinical evidence suggests that the same is true for medical patients with chronic pain conditions. If you are listening now, in all likelihood you are very much ready and motivated to do this work, perhaps because the other options you have tried have only been beneficial to a degree, if at all, and the pain is still seriously eroding the quality of your life. I use the word work, but in actuality, mindfulness is as much play as it is work. It is a throwing yourself into the dance, whether the music is always of your choosing or not, as something of an experiment, an adventure in reclaiming your life to whatever degree is possible. And we cannot know what is possible unless we throw ourselves into the process as wholeheartedly as we can in any given moment and give it and ourselves a fair chance, and then see what happens. We will be learning from life, and one of the things that we will be learning and experimenting with is that even the pain itself, perhaps what we sometimes feel is our worst enemy, can eventually become our teacher and ultimately our ally and friend if we can learn to listen deeply to it. We just experimented with opening a tiny bit to what you are experiencing with awareness. This awareness is a natural-born gift you have always had. This program will offer you a range of practices for working with your body in the way we just glimpsed for a few moments as we started out. It can serve as a reliable door back into your life if you are willing to immerse yourself in the practice of mindfulness, even in the face of significant discomfort and at times perhaps a temporary lack of energy and motivation. This adventure does involve a degree of discipline on a regular daily basis. But what else is new? Everything of any real worth requires some degree of consistent effort and resolve, often in the face of our own doubts and skepticism and the ways in which we often undermine our own power or tell ourselves that we don't have any power or options, when in actuality we do, although we may not be very good at recognizing them. In fact, an open-minded skepticism, coupled with a willingness to experiment with what is possible within your own mind and body, are important and welcome attitudes in embarking on this journey and in undertaking this work. In fact, you may find that they are essential resources along your learning curve and will be a continuing source of positive motivation. Still, there are no hard and fast guarantees along this path any more than there are any guarantees in life. But at least you stand the chance of discovering from the inside that there is a huge difference between pain and suffering, and that, as the cliché goes, pain may be unavoidable in this life at times, but the suffering is optional. That embodied insight alone may make all the difference, although your pain itself may also change and even attenuate. You just don't know what will emerge along this path until you walk it yourself. You have nothing to lose and potentially much to gain. So welcome to this adventure of a lifetime and this lifelong adventure that is the cultivation of mindfulness. Let's take a moment and just tune into how things are for you right now. Since you are already playing this introduction to the program, obviously you are ready for something. So let's just see what it might be like to drop into this moment as it is, however it is, with full awareness. Together, you in your experience and me in mine. First of all, can you notice the sound of my voice as I'm speaking? And the sound and feeling inside yourself of silence and wakefulness when I stop talking, or even underneath my talking? Can you notice any other sounds that may be coming to your ears as I stop speaking? Sounds in the room, from outside, from nature, whatever they are. Can you experiment with just being aware of them for a moment or two as sounds, not even naming them or wondering about their source? And can you also be aware of the air that is bringing them to your ears? The air around your body, the air that you're breathing. What about your breathing? Can you notice that? The feeling of the air coming into your body and leaving your body with every in-breath and out-breath? Can you feel the breath sensations in your body with this in-breath, with this out-breath? What about a sense of your whole body? Can you be aware of your whole body sitting here or lying here, breathing? Just seeing if that is possible, without even trying, just by noticing. Aware of the entirety of the body sitting or lying here, breathing. Now, can you single out one place or region in your body that is not hurting at all in this moment? And if so, just seeing if you can be aware of how it feels, of the sensations in that region, maybe along with the feeling of your breathing. And can you be aware now of one place in your body that is hurting at the moment? Even for the briefest of moments, can you turn toward that place and the intensity of the sensations with even the tiniest bit of openness? Just a peek, a quick toe in the water, and then out. What was that like? How is it right now in the aftermath of turning toward pain or discomfort? If you were able to bring awareness to any of those aspects of your experience for even the briefest of moments, and just feel whatever you were able to feel, you are already well on your way to developing a new and potentially healing relationship with your pain, and even more importantly, with your own mind and body. And if you found that brief exercise to be challenging and not very satisfying or even promising in this moment, well, that is exactly why this program in mindfulness meditation for pain relief contains a whole set of guided exercises that you can work with to develop and deepen your natural born ability to find new ways of being in relationship to pain and suffering, and a new freedom to live your life with greater quality and ease. Let's take the same quality of attention that we just brought to eating the raisin, the same moment-to-moment, non-judging, non-cerebral, direct tasting of our experience. Whatever it is, whether it was through the touching or the seeing or the hearing or the smelling or the actual tasting, and then the feeling of the swallowing and what came in the aftermath. And let's bring this same quality of mindfulness now to the feeling of the breath moving in and out of the body. I'm making the wild assumption that if you're listening to this program, that you actually are breathing. And so it can become a central object of our attention. And we can let everything else move into the wings, so to speak, and feature the breath center stage in the field of awareness. We don't have to all of a sudden get involved in moving the air, in pushing it in or out, but to just let the body breathe itself, and we hold it in awareness, feeling the sensations in the body associated with this gentle flowing of the breath in and the breath out. Almost as if you could taste the breath. Touch the breath. Not with your fingers, but with that whole felt sense. That capacity for knowing what is actually transpiring in the body. And then riding the waves of our own breathing, moment by moment by moment, as we sit here or lie here. And you can do this either sitting or lying. If you're sitting, you might want to sit in a posture that embodies dignity, whatever that means to you. And if you're lying down, equally so, that embodies wakefulness. Because it's an occupational hazard of lying down meditations, of course, to fall asleep, but the invitation is to fall awake rather than to fall asleep. And you can set that as an intention for yourself if you're lying down. And to feel the breath, to be aware of the full duration of the breath coming into the body, the full duration of the breath leaving the body, moment by moment by moment. Noticing where you're drawn to feel the breath, where it's most vivid in the body. And letting your attention settle wherever that is. Perhaps it's at the nostrils, or perhaps it's in the belly, where we can feel the abdominal wall expanding out very gently and naturally on the in-breaths and receding a little bit back towards the spine on the out-breaths. Or wherever else in the body you are feeling the breath most vividly, and simply, as I said, riding on the waves, the felt waves of your own breathing, moment by moment by moment, as if your life depended on it, which of course it does. And just once again remembering that it's not the breath that's important so much as the awareness that's important. Of course the breath is important, but the awareness is what we're cultivating here. You've been breathing for a long time. It's been going very nicely, I'm sure. But now we're moving into an entirely different relationship with the breath. Cultivating intimacy with the feeling of the breath moving in and out. Not thoughts about the breath or how well you're doing with this, but just over and over again, resting in the awareness of breathing itself. The in-breath, the out-breath, this moment, this breath, this moment, this breath. Same vivid, discerning, open, clear quality of attention brought to the breath that you brought to eating the raisin. Different object, same awareness. Allowing yourself to settle into those characteristics of awareness that feel like stillness, that feel like silence. And seeing if it's not actually possible to be comfortable in stillness, and silence, just riding on the waves of the breath at the belly, at the nostrils, wherever. Moment by moment, by moment by moment, as we sit here, or as we lie here, fully awake, fully in touch.